What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Overrated Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Man, it's glad. I'm glad we're back, bro. I'm glad we're back. Last week of college football was crazy,
I
crazy,
told you. I just had the wrong people winning.
man. But as always, it's your boy Ant. I'm here with my brother Dallin. How you doing today,
Good
man?
job. Man, just chilling. Another Tuesday.
Another
Can't be mad
Tuesday,
at it.
and we're gonna get in some talks, some topics. But before we do that, just want to make sure y'all, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all been running it up. We just hit 1,100 subscribers.
Let's
I
go.
appreciate y'all, man.
Mhm.
I appreciate y'all, man. Everyone that took time out of their day to hit that subscribe button, man, you're loved. And if you haven't and you
Uh,
do like our content, make sure you hit that notification bell, turn it on. That way you don't miss when we drop an episode. Be there. Be there. We got a little short episode today, though. Nothing crazy. We ain't gonna go all out. Um, but I did want to start with upset week because that's what we just came off of. I mean, seven teams that were ranked dropped a game this week. What was your thoughts on this week in college football?
if I knew some of these teams was gonna win, I would have chose them. Shoot, South Carolina beating Texas A&M. We thought Marshall Reed was the answer. Get
Yeah,
smacked.
man, I feel
Yeah,
bad, bro.
can't handle it.
I was really high on Texas A&M, and they kind of shit the bed on us. I was not expecting that.
I should listen to Las Vegas. Las Vegas was right.
I mean, Las Vegas still had Texas A&M favored by 2.5.
Oh, I thought they had South Carolina. But I've been seeing stuff like it was a trap game. It definitely was a trap game.
I mean, I said it. I said it was a trap game. I just thought A&M was going to be good enough to overcome. But maybe, just maybe, South Carolina is better than we think.
Well, yeah, given to their schedule when they played teams, that were ranked, they lost to us by two. Then they lost to LSU by three. Only blowout was when they went to Ole Miss. I mean, when Ole Miss came to them 27-3. So I should have looked back on that because all them games were closed by at least one score.
Yeah, like at this point, it just looks like maybe SC was good. Maybe A&M was not as great as I thought they were. Um,
Yeah,
Yet to find out though, because again, so many teams this year has had like bad performances. We seen Texas A&M with a bad performance against SC. We seen Texas with a bad performance against Georgia. We seen Georgia with a bad performance against Alabama. We seen Alabama with a bad performance against Vandy. So it just seems like everyone deserves one, right? Because we seen Ole Miss with a bad performance against Kentucky,
oh yeah,
and we seen LSU with a bad performance against A&M. So it just seems like nowadays everyone in the SEC is having at least one of those bad performance games, and maybe that was Texas A&M's, and they'll bounce back this week. And I guess, listen, they'll have to beat Texas now, otherwise their chances at the SEC championship is out the window.
yeah, that's a must-win game. Even against Auburn too.
Auburn
Yeah, they got
is,
to.
I mean, Auburn is.
Auburn is bad, but they're unpredictable. They can literally beat a team when they're not supposed to beat them.
I keep saying that, but
We've
they
seen
don't.
it happen. But we've
I
seen
keep
it
feeling
happen.
that, but they don't though. Like we just watched Mr. Alabama himself, Diego Pavia, go in there and beat out Auburn again.
So I already knew they was. I already knew they
I
was
seen a
gonna
stat that said Vanderbilt. This is Vanderbilt's first time beating Alabama and Auburn in a season since 1995.
Look here. I don't know what type of creatine they got up there at Vandy, but yeah, they came back a different mode this year.
You know what it is? It's the transfer portal. It's hard to keep these teams bad now. Because what it is just like Indiana, right? A coach from a group of five team leaves and he gets a job at Indiana. And what does Indiana do? They get 13 JMU transfers to join the team after their group of five coach left JMU. And now Indiana is 9-0. They get Curtis Ward from Ohio. And next thing you know, transfer portal turned Indiana from 3-9 to 9-0.
I'm really gonna enjoy seeing that Ohio State Indiana game.
They got to get past Michigan first. But yeah,
You
yeah,
kept talking
and the
about
playoff
Michigan.
committee, I didn't get a chance to look at the college football playoff rankings, and we'll talk about that next. I wonder where they rated Indiana because Indiana has not lost a game all year, and they win in every single game by an average of 13 points. So, I mean, this team is dominating. They're not just winning football games; they're dominating football games. I think not only could they beat Ohio State, I think they should beat Ohio State with the way they've been playing and the way
I
Ohio
told
State's
you.
been playing. They have not been playing great football. I mean, they got against Penn State, they were able to run the ball again. They finally were able to turn the corner and start running the football effectively again. But a Will Howard pick six early, put Ohio State down
Oh,
10-0, and then fumbling that ball on the goal line. Like, if you're forcing Will Howard to make plays and he's making mistakes, you could beat Ohio State. I mean, it
so
took what two goal line stops where Penn State has 0 points off two goal line possessions
yep,
to lose that game. They were down 20-13, and I believe the first time on the goal line they threw a pick, an incredible pick
yeah,
because
that was.
that shit was insane. He wasn't even looking at the ball, but to
He
have
took
the
it from the
awareness
receiver
to
and down.
have the awareness to see the ball hit the receiver's hands and snatch it like that, and then also gain possession while keeping the foot in bounds was insane. And then carrying that possession to the ground, lit. And then the second time, I mean, Penn State's poor offensive play calling is what cost them points on the second drive. We
Oh
know,
yeah,
I know, you know, on the goal line, who should Penn State give the ball to? If it ain't Nick Singleton, it's Tyler Warner, Tyler Warren. And neither one of them touched the ball on that possession. They did three straight runs to Katron Allen, and then they did a RPO pass where they tried to get it to Tyler Warren on the flat, and he wasn't open, so they just threw a ball across the middle to the backup tight end. It was whatever, bro. Penn State failed last night, or not last night, last week. Penn State
my
failed
lord.
last week.
I figured, Drew Allen healthy. He's gonna come in. He's gonna win the game. It's at home, and you have a better chance of beating Ohio State this year than any other year. Gonna be perfectly honest. Well, he was moving
And I was
good too.
hopeful.
I was
I
hoping
was
too. He was
hopeful.
moving good.
The first possession,
The
the
first and
first
second half,
possession of the
first
game,
and second quarter.
the first possession of the game, Penn State gets the ball. We get three Drew Aller big time runs for first downs. He's doing the whole Stephon Diggs
Oh
celebration, and then they get a field goal, and I'm like, they put points on the board, and then the next play, Ohio State first play of the game, first time Will Howard has to lift his arm all day. He throws a pick six, and I'm like, I mean, Happy Valley's livid. The crowd's going crazy. Gus Johnson's making the call. Like, it's lit. Penn State's up 10-0 early. And I'm like, this game's about to get out of hand. Because Penn State's defense, I mean, Will Howard threw a pick six. They're lit. The offense was moving the ball. I'm like, this don't look good for Ohio State, especially after seeing Ohio State versus Oregon and Ohio State versus Nebraska. I'm like, yeah, this Ohio State looks like their confidence getting ripped from them a little bit. And what happens? Ohio State defense is like, no, fuck that. And they turn up. And now
I
look
mean,
at them
those two turnovers in the red zone. That's 14 points off the board.
off the board. Not even a field goal. You know?
That too. Didn't the kicker miss a field goal too?
Oh, I don't know if they had a missed field goal. Maybe.
I think they had a
No
missed field
offensive
goal.
touchdowns though. No zero offensive touchdowns for Penn
It
State.
really just it really just came from that pick six, then a couple field goals.
And also zero offensive Penn State against Ohio State in 2 straight years. I think James Franklin might have to get fired. I mean, I
Yeah, to
understand
go.
that he's winning every other game except Ohio State and Michigan, but it just ain't enough. You gotta beat Ohio State. And
You
you
have
don't play
to.
Michigan this year. So it's like all year, all you had to do was prepare for Ohio State. Ohio State. You played a cupcake schedule up to Ohio State. You played Kent State. You know what I mean? You played Wisconsin. Like you should have been prepared for Ohio State. You could have played every single game this year as if it was Ohio State you were playing, to perfect the game plan. You had 6 weeks
Yeah.
to perfect, or 8 weeks to perfect the game plan. 10 weeks, technically, if you count the bye weeks, to perfect the game plan. And what happens? You go out there and
It was terrible.
offensively, looks like you did not know you were playing Ohio State, what Ohio State was going to do. Now, defensively, Penn State did exactly what they should have done. They gave up big
They didn't
plays, but
do
when it
on me.
mattered most, they got stops.
The entire game,
Actually,
they defense
actually, I
simple.
will say this. Ohio State were getting Penn State defenses a little bit of trouble. They were having a hard time adjusting to those toss routes and those misdirections because they were getting shotgun, and what they would do is Will Howard would throw a toss to the right, like it was like a shotgun toss, like a pin toss,
Yeah.
and the line would shift, but the tight end would break off, or the outside receiver or the slot receiver would break off and come back across, and it was kind of like a RPO. And they were playing a lot of man coverage, and they were getting beat up on those crossing routes.
Get torched, bro. That's why I knew after that first interception Drew Allen threw, I said it's over. It's over. Cause they done scored, came back, scored again. You threw a pick in the red zone. It's over. Y'all made it close, but that whole game was gonna be tough from then on. You should have just took that pick six and just ran with it.
Yeah, yeah. And that was like the biggest upset. Obviously, we had Kansas State lose. We had Iowa State lose, which now opens up the fact that Colorado, who was 4-8 last year and is 6-2 this year, and currently number 2 in the Big 12 conference standings, they control their own destiny now. Because all they have to do is win out and hope that K State beats Iowa State at the end of the year, and we're looking at a Big 12 championship against BYU and Colorado. 60
I'm
minutes
losing.
for Coach Farm to
Losing
play one
already.
team and get into the college football playoffs.
If they played them at the where's the Big Ten championship and then beat them, there's no way you don't put them in a college playoff. There's just
No,
simply no way.
if they're 10-2 and they're playing for a conference championship, it's 60 minutes of it's a playoff game for BYU. It's a playoff game for Colorado at that point. Like this is the playoff game because the winner is going to the playoffs
Oh yeah,
without a
big facts.
doubt.
There's no way you leave that champion out,
Nah,
no matter what the ranking is. There's just simply
nah.
no way.
Yeah, every conference champion is going to make it plus that group of 5. I truly believe that, no matter what. Whether it's Colorado. Now this is what might happen. The committee, judging by the rankings, not that big of a fan of Colorado. If Colorado wins out and they win a championship game, I think there is a chance that they're not one of the top 4 highest ranked champions. It might be the 5th highest ranked champion. And there's a chance that the committee puts Boise State as one of the top four highest ranked champions because they're already higher ranked than Colorado. All they have to do is win out. I don't see Colorado jumping them. So I think it like might come down to a number 5 or 6 BYU versus the number 13, 14 Colorado in a conference championship game, right? And then it's like,
Yeah,
is that win against that number 6 BYU enough to jump Boise State in the college football playoff rankings? Or is it going to be like Boise, who only loss was to Oregon in a game that low key Boise could have won? Are they going to be the team that gets the bye week over Colorado and Colorado hosting a playoff game in Boulder? And you know how I feel about Colorado at home.
I'm trying to figure out with Colorado's schedule. And you look at Boise State schedule, trying to see, if it does come down that BYU, their, I would say, ranked opponent, I think like second, third ranked opponent, and if they win that one, and then also get into the college playoff, I think they should be ahead of Boise State because Boise State only played one ranked opponent and they lost to them. So I don't highly doubt that they should. If Colorado wins out, makes college playoffs, Boise State is going to be higher ranked higher than them. I don't think they're going to make the top four.
No, but there's also that argument that Colorado this year has not won against a ranked opponent because that Colorado lost to Kansas State essentially the same way Boise State lost to Oregon. You know what I mean? Like Boise State lost to Oregon off of a game winning drive for
That
Dylan
is,
Gabriel, and then Kansas State beat Colorado because of a game winning drive by Avery Johnson. Both teams were ranked at that moment in time. Those are the only ranked opponents that the teams played against. Because if you look at UNLV, they weren't ranked when they played Boise State. They were ranked prior to Boise State, but then obviously they took a loss prior to that Boise State game and they lost their rank. And then Colorado doesn't have a ranked opponent because Kansas stinks like fucking poo poo. And then so does Utah and Oklahoma State. So and then Texas Tech lost their rank by getting blown out by BYU. Or not BYU, sorry, Baylor. Even though they just beat Iowa State, which now might help Colorado because in the eyes of the committee, this is a Texas Tech team that beat Iowa State that Colorado just is probably going to go in there and beat handily because their defense sucks.
defensive product. Well, how much they let up? They let up like at least I think 30. They barely scored.
Yeah, but if you watch that Iowa State game against Texas Tech, like Texas Tech should have, I mean, they should have lost that game. And Iowa State should have dropped like 45, 50 points with the amount of possession and chances they had to score. Iowa State just played bad football. And
I didn't.
unfortunately for Colorado, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be in favor for them for the rest of the year. All they got to
Hey,
do
this
is
is
win
the
out.
same Texas Tech team that let Baylor drop 50.
Yeah, we know Texas Tech bad. We know they've always been bad. Even with Patrick Mahomes, defense has always been just terrible.
Yeah. And if you don't believe them, go watch Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield at Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I think it was like what over 100 points scored, 50 points
Yeah,
on each side. It was unreal.
yeah.
Patrick Mahomes
They
threw for
didn't
730 some yards.
they go on the shootout day? I mean, not shootout, OTA game too.
Yeah, we
Shit
won.
crazy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we already know that. We already know that. We know this the whole entire story. But I'm just saying, we already know Texas Tech has been historically bad for a while now. So the fact that they beat a ranked opponent at on the road is pretty much the same.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. Try to make him a little quicker. We're going to top 25 college playoff rankings. They just were released to us today. What's your thoughts on the rankings? Do you feel like the committee got it right?
Uh, what was Texas A&M last week?
10.
Two. 10
10
top
in the
four.
AP poll.
So they dropped 4. LSU only 15. It's so tough to see Indiana BYU in the top 10, which is insane.
I mean, they deserve it.
Yeah, I mean
So
they
for the
still
people
a
at
good
home
league.
that are watching and not knowing what the rankings are as we talk about it, college football playoff rankings got Oregon at number 1, Georgia at 2, Ohio State at 3, Miami at 4, Texas at 5, Penn State at 6, Tennessee at 7, Indiana at 8, BYU at 9, and Notre Dame at 10, followed by Alabama, Boise State, SMU, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Iowa State, Army, Clemson, and Washington State to finish off the 11 through 20. And then 21 through 25 is as follows: Colorado, Kansas State, Pitt, Vanderbilt, and Louisville. All right. I think I'm more surprised, and a couple things kind of catch my eye. So I'm surprised that one, Iowa State is still ahead or
Well,
still in the
Colorado.
top. Yeah, no, yeah. Like I think they should be a little closer in ranked. I understand Iowa State only has one loss, but I mean, I
They
think
lost to a good
obviously
team at home.
I, yeah, yeah. Seeing their position in the Big 12 standings, I think they should be a little closer. I think that South Carolina should have been ranked over teams like Pitt, even though Pitt's 7-1, they took a bad loss to SMU. And then
But
Louisville,
SMU was ranked at that time too.
what's up?
I said SMU was ranked at that time too. It was like a 18-20 matchup.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, they did lose what by 20, right?
They lost big and it did not look close and it was real dominant. I'm surprised
So
that
they did lose
Washington
something.
State jumped Colorado.
That would have me mad. But given they are 7-1, and I just don't. They didn't
They're
really
7-1, but like
see me.
who have they played?
They played Boise State, but they lost that by double digits, by 20.
They lost it handily. Like besides that,
And they should.
their toughest opponent was probably Washington. And Washington's record speaks for itself.
That's my thing. So it's like I'm hella heated. Washington State? Yes, they're 7-1, but they haven't played anybody who beat 7-1. They played Boise State, who was ranked at the time and got blown out. And then
And
Washington was supposed to be a
we're
good
talking
team, and
about a
they
group of
won there by
5
5 points.
Boise State.
That's my thing. So I'm like, there's no way. But I have, in my opinion, Colorado should be ahead of Washington State because their schedule is a whole lot harder.
Colorado should be ahead of Washington State. I think they should be ahead of Clemson, and I think they should be ahead
This
of
is
Army. Army's 8-0, but Army's rank or Army's schedule is nothing. Also, like
at
Colorado will
all.
also be undefeated on that schedule. I mean, East Carolina, Air Force,
Tulsa?
UAB, Tulsa, Temple, Rice, Florida Atlantic, and then Lehigh.
This sounds
Like
like
we're
high school team.
talking on God, like Colorado should be ranked, and I think Army or Colorado should be ranked ahead of Army, and I think Army is going to get exposed when they play Notre Dame. So I can't wait for that game.
They might get exposed with North Texas because North Texas quarterback is leading the college football and passing yards.
Yeah, well, North Texas has a win probability of 32% to Army's 55. They
That's not
are
really good.
explosive though. They're putting up a lot of points.
The lowest they have scored is that I think it's 21. Yeah, They been in some shootouts. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I got. Hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna put it as a pick.
Yeah,
I
they
gotta
they're
go
all.
take it.
Already
I'm
doing
gonna take
picks.
it. No, we do it that way.
That shit. Yeah, I mean that's all. That's all I'm mad about. But that's the top 25 playoff rankings. We'll dive a little more into it probably next week when we get a week of college football playoff rankings and we get our second week of it and really start talking about it now that we'll see teams play with their college football playoff rankings. But we'll move on to the SEC and just a question on what the SEC picture is looking like after Texas A&M lost to SC. Now it's a lot of teams tied for first in the SEC. Now we're looking at Georgia, Texas, Texas A&M, um, all tied. Oh, is Ole Miss? No, not Ole Miss.
No, I think
Or
I
yeah,
two losses.
Ole Miss, all tied for the SEC, I believe.
What's it?
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna fact check
Yeah,
here.
Georgia, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Texas, LSU, all has one losses. Then Vandy, Ole Miss, and Bama has two.
Yeah, so we're looking at
A close race game.
essentially, essentially, yeah, 5 teams tied for first, and technically 8 teams still active in the SEC race now because you look at Ole Miss with a Georgia win, that can do wonders. And then obviously Alabama, if they beat LSU, opens up the door for Alabama.
That whole
Tennessee would have
picture.
lost to Georgia, opens up the loss after Georgia loses to Ole Miss, and then A&M would have lost to Texas, and we might be looking at Texas versus Vandy? Question mark?
Don't ever in your life do that again.
I
Not no
mean, we're
Vandy.
talking about Vanderbilt going into the
Not
month of
Vandy.
November with the championship game. Vanderbilt, who has a win over Alabama, which would be a deal breaker if they were all tied.
Yeah, but we don't even see Vandy even making it. How many losses they got in the SEC? Two?
They got 2.
Oh, they do that
Same
too.
as,
Oh, crap.
and that will be the same as we're projecting. I know we're gonna pick the same. Alabama beating LSU this week would
So
tie them all up. Georgia
in order
losing to
for
Ole
me
Miss
to
would tie them all up, and then A&M or Texas with another loss, and that ties everyone up.
so in order for Vandy to do this right, they got South Carolina this week, LSU next week, and then they have Tennessee the week after that. They're gonna have to win out.
So we're talking about hold on. If Vandy
They
wins
have to
out,
win.
we can almost guarantee that they'll be
They're
in
going to
conversation
be
because we're
because
talking about
Tennessee
them putting a
has
loss
control
on
of the
LSU and Tennessee, who might already have 2 SEC championship or SEC losses prior to that game. Tennessee can definitely lose to Georgia.
So it's like this.
LSU can definitely lose to Alabama prior to Vandy. Oh God.
So if LSU lose to us this week, then let's say they beat Florida, then lose to Vandy right after that. That's literally what three,
3
four losses.
losses. That's it. Any
No, they already
SEC
have
team with 3 losses on their schedule, it's done.
exactly. So if they lose both of those games, they're out.
Wow.
Then if Tennessee has Georgia. This whole picture is just it's mad annoying. They have Georgia next week, and then they also have Vandy at the end of the week. I mean, end of the season, not end of the week, end of the season.
Yeah.
Lose to Georgia, lose to Vandy, out.
Yeah.
Then still Georgia
And then
got
Texas and Texas
Ole Miss
A&M
this
play each
week, and
other.
then Tennessee next week. Yeah, and that's also another thing. So I really don't know how this picture is gonna look at the end of the season, but these next 3 weeks is about to be the most crazy weeks in the SEC. I'm talking probably ever.
I mean, it
It's
has to be. Like, when is the
it's
last
not
time?
even close.
when is the last time, as college football fans, have we got to sit here and say, going into the month of November, Vanderbilt is relevant?
Right. It's like half the conference is literally in consideration of the SEC championship.
I
That
mean,
has never happened in that conference at all.
we thought the Big 12 was was wild with their with how many teams had a chance to compete early. Now the Big 12 is looking a little more like we thought the SEC would look, with like, three heavy teams, four heavy teams. Everyone else is
Yeah.
just kind of there. And the SEC is looking like what we thought the Big 12 was turning into, a whole conference contending for a championship. The SEC has 8 teams contending for a championship right now.
And
Eight
everybody
teams.
plays somebody within those in these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's about to be crazy.
All I'm gonna say is watch for them games. Them games, I don't care if it's unranked or is it ranked. Watch them.
About to be crazy. Let's move on. Let's move on. SEC is going to be fun to watch.
Georgia's the best conference in the whole entire nation.
Man,
First in the nation.
USC season has not been what Lincoln Riley thought the season was going to be with Miller Moss, and especially after starting that season with a big win over LSU and eventually being ranked in the top 15, and then you know
Cool.
they lose that one game, and it just seems like they haven't been able to close out games. So what Lincoln Riley saying, yo, the season might be over. They're starting Jaden Mavia this week against Nebraska. Mayava? Jaden Mayava?
Yeah, Jay Iowa. Iowa. I don't know.
To
He
start
played
this
for
week
UNLV last
against
year.
Nebraska. I think that this is just a like wave the white flag for Lincoln Riley and USC this year. I think they're done.
No, they can still be bowl eligible. They just need 2 dubs.
I mean, yeah. I think they'll be bowl eligible, like no matter who's at quarterback. I'm saying that because they're moving to Jaden, um, to start for them, that he's essentially saying that their season is dead. We should start focusing on next year. That's what I'm taking from this game because they have LSU
So
this week.
yeah, no, they got LSU this week.
Oh no, sorry, they don't have LSU this week. They have Nebraska this week.
Yeah,
So I think that
so I think
they're done.
yeah, they're done this season. But with these last 3 weeks, they're starting Jaden. Jaden's a sophomore, so they're hoping to see what they're gonna get for him next year. Because I think Willie Monster's a junior. He might be coming back. I think he should. But I don't think he's gonna win that QB battle with Jaden. Jaden threw what did he throw last year with the he threw 3,000 yards with I think 18 touchdowns. Were you in the V last year? And Miller Marsh within like 9 games is what is it, 4 and 5. Then also thrown 18 touchdowns with 9 interceptions.
I mean, Miller Moss has been struggling though. I think he had
He
three
hasn't played.
interceptions last week against Washington, and then yeah, they beat up on Rutgers, but you can't lose to Maryland. You can't lose to Minnesota, knowing
And they
that you were
blew
going
the
to
lead.
possibly lose that game to Penn State already.
They blew that lead. They was up.
Yeah, they was up against Minnesota. They was up against Maryland. They were up against Penn State. Like, and then obviously like USC. I think that's when it started like going downhill for Miller Moss. I mean that pick. I mean he played incredible. Like he did throw a pick six to Will Johnson, but other than that, he played good. I thought he played good. It's just when you're top 11 and you lose, like it's really hard to wake up that next morning and have that same enthusiasm to go play football as you did as undefeateds. And then
Yeah,
obviously you bounce back with a win against USC, and I think Minnesota was just the nail in the coffin because losing that game to Minnesota, you kind of know you're out of the Big Ten championship race, and then Penn State comes in, top 10 team, you blow that lead, and then your confidence against Maryland was just down.
Yeah, it was
Washington was like the end for Lincoln Riley. Washington was when Lincoln was like, we need to do something different because this shit ain't working. There we have it, though. I think that this is just a hard reset. And yeah, they tried to beat Nebraska, and they tried to beat UCLA, and they tried to be bowl eligible. Eligible. They want to do that before they play Notre Dame at the end of the year, because they're playing Notre Dame with Notre Dame having something to play for, and USC having nothing to play for. This game looks a whole lot different than we thought it was going to look earlier this year. We thought this game would be a USC versus Notre Dame college football playoff implication game for both sides. Now it's just a college football playoff implication game for Notre Dame, and USC just kind of there at that point.
Yeah, I figured with that big win against LSU, the way they defense was playing, I was like, USC with a defense is insane.
Yeah, well, that defense said fuck life. They did not sustain the greatness that they were supposed to sustain.
I hate to see that as the season went. That's crazy. Let's hope
I
Notre
mean,
Dame don't get upset though.
and now we got to start thinking about, is Lincoln Riley's job on the line? As great as the coach Lincoln Riley is, and it's just like James Franklin. Like James Franklin is also a good coach, and his job might be on the line. It's just like with the transfer portal, you can't afford to have bad seasons anymore. Like you can have a bad season and you can be like, I'm developing my players. I'm developing a team that won't be great this year, but give us a year or two, 3 years down the line when my freshmen are seniors, or when my freshmen are juniors and my sophomores are seniors, we're gonna be incredible. No, because because now these kids don't want to go 5-5, 6-6. They don't want to go, you know, 5-7. They want to go to a bowl game minimum. They want to go 7 or 8 win seasons, 9 win seasons, 10 win seasons. They want to play for it's 12 teams. 12 teams make it to the college football playoffs, and
It's no reason why
everybody
y'all
wants
can't
a
do
shot. Vanderbilt built in a transfer portal. You think they're going to go bad now that Diego Pavia put Vandy on the map, and Vandy's a 6-win team with a chance to win a SEC championship game? No, like whatever they're going to finish 7, 8 wins this year, and next year Vanderbilt's going to be a 9, 10 win team because people are going to transfer there because they want teams on the come up, coaches that are building programs are going to steal players. They're going to steal players. USC, everybody that's a star in USC, Zachariah Branch, Miller Moss, they're looking. They're probably going to look to leave at the end of the season. I would be
it.
surprised if Zachariah Branch is still at USC by the end of this year, next
No, he
year.
definitely defensive.
Like that's elite talent, and he's watching Zachariah Branch, who has not been mentioned this year because USC
Barely.
has not been playing well. Like he's watching Travis Hunter in Colorado do backflips and get praised for his athletic ability. He's watching what's the kid? JJ, Jeremiah Smith, down there in Ohio State get praised. He's watching Ryan Williams get praised at Alabama. And he's like, here I am with USC, who I chose because I wanted to play for Lincoln Riley at a time when they had Caleb Williams. And what have we done? Because when Caleb Williams was there, we were in a Pac-12 championship with a chance to go to a college football playoff that we lost. And then the second year with Caleb Williams, we only won 9 or 8 games. And now we're winning, what is that, 5, possibly 6 games? That doesn't sound like progression. It sounds like you know, they're going in the opposite direction. You go from 10-win season to 8-win season to 5 or 6 win seasons. I don't think he's staying there next year.
Man, I would have loved to see Zachariah Branch in the Colorado uniform with him, Travis Hunter on the other side, and do it back there throwing it. That would have went stupid.
Cause you know who's kind of like Zachariah Branch,
Who?
like Jimmy Horn, but he's not as
He's not as
explosive.
fast.
Like if you give Zachariah Branch the plays that Jimmy Horn gets at Colorado, the little jet sweeps and screen routes, oh my god,
Well, he's going
punt
crazy.
returns and kick returns, oh my Christ.
He's gonna go crazy. And this is Zachariah Branch is that type of what do I say explosive. This man took as a freshman took a kick and what was the kick return too, right? He took
Mm-hmm.
two of that in one game to the house. And they didn't kick the ball at him at all for the rest of the season.
And he's not getting the touches he deserves at receiver either. He's a great
Oh,
receiver,
hey, look, he can come to Bama. We'll definitely get the ball to him. Him
man.
and Ryan Williams. My God, the
I mean,
duo.
listen. I think he's a junior this year. I hope he transfers.
No,
I
he's
hope
a
he doesn't go
sophomore.
to the NFL. I hope he transfers and plays another year.
He's a sophomore this year.
He's a
He
sophomore.
definitely, yeah, he definitely gonna look at transfer.
Oh yeah. Hey, get up out of there. And if Colorado gets Juju Lewis, the 5-star quarterback, 4-star quarterback, I think he
Ooh,
should go to Colorado.
yeah. Is Jimmy still what year is Jimmy? He is junior.
Yeah, senior. Colorado, Jimmy Horn's a senior. Shador's a senior. Travis is a junior, but you might as well call him a senior because he ain't staying. And then Will Shepard's a senior. LaJohntay Wester's a senior. But like,
Amari,
if you're a star, you want to go play with Amarion Miller over there. Like, Amarion Miller is a star. Oh my! Like if he didn't
he's a
have
stud.
Will Shepard and the rest of those cats, LaJohntay Wester and Travis Hunter, Omarion Miller would easily have 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean, it's every time he touches the ball, it's golden. If you ever watch the Colorado game, every time Omarion Miller touches the ball, it's golden.
He should have got more
Yeah,
touches this year.
yeah. I mean,
I feel like
he sits on a bench and he gets in, not knowing he's going to play, and drops 145 receiving yards before breaking his leg. Like this kid's amazing.
I always liked him since he was playing there last year.
Oh,
They
before
they
fucking
they
his knee up, I think he tore his ACL or MCL.
yeah, but he was a dog last year. Whenever I mean not Dion threw him in the game a couple times. You know, like
Yeah, the first time I think the first time we saw him was against USC in that
yeah.
comeback and star. Omarion Miller first time he got in the game had 2 touchdowns. Star. All right, last topic of the day. We're gonna talk a little bit about Miami, who seems like the clear cut favorite to win the ACC now, with Clemson's lost to Louisville, and actually, I
You know,
won't
did
say
a really
clear
good
cut.
thing.
SMU looks like they're challenging for that position, but
Ooh, SMU and Miami.
that's what it's looking like. SMU versus Miami championship game.
Hold on. What is
What are
SMU?
Miami's chances to stay unbeaten this year? That's the question.
Given the given the fact that they don't even care about defense at this point, but just the fact they cannot get stopped on offense, they might just win out.
I mean, yeah, you gotta like. They remind me of Miami reminds me of Oklahoma of the past. Like their defense is going to give up points, but do you have an offense to score with Miami's offense? Because Cam Ward and Restrepo and that offense is going to put up points. I'm talking. If you're not dropping 40, you're not winning. That's how it's looking.
Somebody had Martinez as the underdog or something. 'Cause that boy, when he running the ball, I think what he was like 225, 230. I'm telling you, he'll get about 3, 4 yards, and that's low. Because then soon the game get close to the end, you bring it more from about good 8, 9, 10, even more after that. They're like it started. They are killing people on the ground.
They're killing people on the ground. They're killing people through
Then
the
you start
air.
tackling.
I mean, they have Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. We can almost guarantee they'll be undefeated going into the ACC championship game. So we might as well just start thinking about what can happen between SMU and Miami and Duke. who had one of the best secondaries in the ACC.
That was a bitch is.
They dropped 53 on Duke. Cal, who also has one of the best defenses in the ACC, Cal blew, what was it, 30-7 lead?
Yeah.
And Miami just went on a run. Florida State, I mean, they're fucking Florida State. Nothing much to say about Florida State. But Louisville, who we just saw put the beat down on Clemson, they dropped 52 on Louisville. So, like, I mean, you want to talk about Florida? That's an SEC team that they dropped 41 on in week 1. Like, Miami is just unstoppable offensively.
So I
Like, it
think it
doesn't
might.
matter who you put in front of them. The defenses aren't good enough with Cam Ward back there.
It's definitely going to be Miami and SMU ACC
Yeah.
because SMU got Boston College, Virginia, and then California. They
Yeah.
win out for the rest of the year, so it's definitely going to be
Yeah.
a cut ACC for Miami SMU. That's going to be a battle. That's going to be a dogfight
And you
right
know
there.
it's so funny? Like, people don't give this podcast enough credit. Because last week, what did I do before the Clemson Louisville game? What did I come on this podcast and do? I
Oh, we
ripped
talking about Cade
Cade
Klubnik.
Klubnik. I
Yeah,
ripped
I
Cade
knew it too.
Klubnik because I said there's no way this kid's a Heisman favorite with that cupcake schedule. They had high school teams, and the moment they play a Power 4 conference team, they get exposed.
It's so bad. I don't know why we didn't choose Louisville that week. We should have known. It always happens with Clemson.
Just tune into the podcast, guys. We're speaking facts. Like, you might not want to hear it because it's your favorite team. I talk shit about Oklahoma. We suck. We can't play offense. We will not win a game for the rest of the year with the way our
I'm
offense
not.
plays football.
I'm not the
But
typical
it's the
Bama
truth.
fan.
It's the
You
truth.
think
We ripped Bama, who beat Georgia, and we still ripped them. Because ain't no way y'all let Georgia drop 30 and a half to come back when you're up 28-0. They got a little bit of ripping. And then what happened when I ripped Alabama for that? They lose to Vanderbilt. I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking facts. And you can be mad, but it's the truth. It's the truth. The truth hurts. Truth hurts. Miami's chances are probably 100% of staying unbeaten this year, by the way. I give them only because I have respect for SMU. I give Miami 75% chance of staying unbeaten this year. That gives SMU 25% chance of stopping that. That's what I'll say. I'll say Miami has a 75% chance of staying unbeaten. SMU has a 25% chance of stopping that. Everyone else's chances are in the lower 1%, 2% chance of stopping Miami. All right. That'll do it for another episode of the Overrated Pod. Dallin's having some technical difficulties, so we'll just end it here. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Keep running it up. Let's try to go from 1,100 to 1,200 by the next time we see you guys on Thursday. That's 48 hours. I think we can do it. I think we can run it up. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss that Thursday prediction episode. And we'll see you guys in 2 days. Peace.